million. Let us take a look. First of all, what we know is this only works with right triangles. Anytime you see a right triangle, automatically your mind should drift to the Pythagorean theorem. Okay? And there's a hard way to do it, and there's the easy way to do it. Let's make the inside a beautiful shade of chartreuse. No. No. Outside black, inside. What color haven't we seen? Let's make this lovely shade of this. Okay. Now, here's your right triangle, children. There are times when the numbers are going to be something like this, 5 and 8, and they're going to ask you for this side. That's called the hypotenuse, the long side. And maybe what you should think about is this. Okay, maybe you should make a little table. And actually, the worksheet I'm going to give you is going to have a little table. Okay, you've got 3 legs or sides to this triangle. You've got the short side, you've got the medium side, and you've got the long side that we always call the hypotenuse because it's always that side here. Let's make a little chart. What is the short side? Oh, can I switch these around because that doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Let's put the 5 down here and the 8 up here. I'm a trained professional. So if this is my triangle here, and I'm filling in the blanks here, my short side is 5, my medium side is, jump in here at any point, 8, and my hypotenuse I need to figure out. And your first thing you do is you look at your chart. And you'll notice that when you look at the chart, is there a short, medium, 5, 8? No. And it's at that point, children, that collectively you have a gasp of regret. Because the only way to do the one, if it's not a triple, and it's not a ratio one, is you actually have to do the formula. Did we do the formula?
No. Yeah.
We didn't do the a squared plus b squared equals c squared?
Yes.
It's on our
Yeah, if it doesn't end up being this, children, then you actually have to use the old-fashioned hard way and plug the stuff in, which means you take 5 squared plus 8 squared, and that's going to equal c squared. And 5 squared is 25, you with me? 8 squared is 64. What is 25 and 64? 89. Here was the big issue. If 89 equals c squared, you remember us taking a long time to do this? What does the letter c equal? If c squared equals 89, what number times what number gives you 89? There is none, but how do we show that? When I ask you what number times what number gives you something, we call that the, thank you very much. If you see this and they want to know what just the letter C is, it's this same number 89 except it's under the radical sign. It's the square root of 89. And there is no nice number, there is no, something times something that gives you that's a long repeating decimal. It's called an irrational number because it goes on forever, but this is an answer. If I had c squared equals 15, what does c equal? Square root of 15. If I have c squared equals 32, what does c equal? Square root of 32. Okay. Now, fortunately, and that's what goes here, the long side is the square root of 89. Now, you should be able to tell me, children, you should be able to tell me that what number that is close to. The square root of 89 has to be between what two numbers we do know? Huh? Between 9 and 10. Why? Because 9 times 9 is 81. The square root of 81 is 9. And 10 times 10 is 100. The square root of 100 is 10. So it's got to be between 9 and 10. It looks like it's probably almost halfway right in between, or very close to that. But you should be able to tell me that. Now, fortunately for you children, this really isn't what we're dealing with today. We are dealing with what we call the triples. That means the ones that do work out, where you don't have to do the long theorem, you just look at the chart. Use your references, as Mrs. Stone would say. And we have an okay time using our references until we end up with the ratios. So let's look at one. Let's do another one. I'm going to draw another nice triangle here for you. And let's do the basic one. One that you see all the time, children, is the 3, 4, what's the other number? 5. And I'm going to make this little chart here. Again with my short, medium, hypotenuse. Okay, and here is where we run into trouble, children. Where we run into trouble, we know we've got a 3, 4, 5 triangle, but that's not the only triangle we have. We have any triangle that is a ratio to this triangle. For example, through the beauty of only mathematics, okay, if I were to take this same triangle, great, same ratio triangle, don't worry, this happens to me all the time. Same ratio triangle, and double the sides, it's still true. What do I get if I double all of these numbers? 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8, and 5 times 2 is 10. If I have a 6, 8, 10 triangle, even though it's not up here, it's a triple because it is a ratio. It is a similar triangle that just is another ratio. If I did it times 3, what's another triple? 3 times 3 is a 9, 4 times 3 is 12, 5 times 3 is 15. Are you with me? And if I did it times 4, it would be 3 times 4 is a 12, 4 times 4 is 16, 5 times 4 is 20. All of these are triples, you just have to be able to recognize it. And the problem comes when we see a triangle like this. You know, what if this side is 50 and this side is 30? What if this side is 50 and this side is 30? What is the missing side? And how would I figure that out? Missing side, Gary Ronning, is
40.
Why is it 40?
Because if you all divide it by 10, it's 3, 4, 5.
Right, because 5 divided by 10 is 50, as is 3 divided by 10. Okay, so the other one would have to be, actually this is multiplying, isn't it? The other one would be 4 times 10, which is 4D. It has to be that way. Now let me give you another kind of one here that's not going to be quite as obvious. So what you kind of need to do is this. Let's say you've got this. You've got a, I don't know. Let me find a good one here. A 14 and a 50. Now maybe this is what you should do, is make a table here. Make a table with the short, medium, and the hypotenuse. Plug in the numbers that you know. What numbers do I know, Calvin? I know that the hypotenuse is 50, and I know that the 14 is what? The short side. So I go, the first thing I do, children, I don't know what the medium is, but I don't need to know it yet. First thing I do is I go and I look and I see, is there a short 14 and a hypotenuse of 50? No. Okay, so there's kind of a bad thing. So then I need to see, is it a ratio of 1? And the only way to do that is look at the two numbers you have and say, is there a number that I can divide both of those by? Sammy? Okay, so I'm going to divide them by 2. What is 14 divided by 2? And what is 50 divided by 2? 25. And then I go back to my triple thing and say, is there a 725? Yes. What is the medium side then? 24, but that's not my actual one, because I have to, 24 is if it was a 725, 24 triangle. Okay, since I cut these in half to go back here, what number should be here? Oops, 48. And that's where we seem to be running into trouble. This has to be a 48 there. Okay. Or another one, let me give you another triangle here. Let's say this is, let's say this is 90 and 400. What would this side be? And maybe again, it would be helpful if you kind of just charted out a table so that you can see. The short side is 90. The medium side is 400. I don't know what this side is. There's no 90 or 400 there. So what number goes into both of those? 90 and 400, what number can I divide those by? Peter? So it's 9 and 40. Is there a 940 over here? There it is, 940, 41. But 41 is not my answer, because I have to go back to the original and redo what I just did to get it. I divided by 10, so I have to go back and multiply by 10, so that's 400. Think about that. Let's take a look at this sheet here. Not very often I give you worksheets. Today is your almost lucky day. Yeah. Go ahead and do problem L numeral 1 and 2, and then we'll probably I'll tell you, I gotta explain the rest of it. Do for me right now from L1 and L2. We should be, by the way, be done with number 1 and 2. Yeah? Number 1. In that table, you're just supposed to label the legs there and the sides. So for number 1 in the little table, what did you write when you filled out the table? What was the short leg for number 1? 3, everybody with us? The medium leg was, and the hypotenuse is, okay, I don't think you're going to have any trouble with that. Problem number 6, let's do that one just real quick. Short leg is 5 because it's a triple. Wait, 60, 61. Are we on problem number 6?
Yeah.
Oh, I was at 6. Go to 6. What is 6? I'm not doing this whole thing for you. A 61, 60, the short side is 11. 11, 60, 61. Now, what they want you to do for problem number 7, even though they don't say it, they want you to rewrite the triple from problem number 1. What was our triple from problem number 1? So you write it down as 3, 4, 5. That's the first column. Then they say they want you to use a factor of 2. So that means you just double all of those, which would make it 6, 8, 10 triangle. And then they want you to use a factor of 10, which would make it a 30, 40, 50 triangle. Got that? Now, let me ask you this question. Well, you can cross off problem number 15. I don't know. Because we're not quite at that point in our lives. Now flip it over, because here is where I want you to be able to use this. Look at problem number 26. Number 26. You've got the triangle there that is 10 and 26. What number would go here? If you struggle with this at all, go ahead and make the little table. That is the short, medium, hypotenuse. I know the hypotenuse is 26, the medium is 10. There is no 10, 26 over here. But what can I do with 10 and 26? Cut them in half. What is half of 10 and 26? 5 and 13. So what is my,
Yeah, you put,
did I do it wrong?
yeah.
What did I do? Oh, this one should have been, sorry. This one should have been, I drew my triangle wrong, didn't I? This is actually the short side, sorry. 10 and 5. So what, 5 something 13 is a 5 what? 12. But that's not my answer because I have to make it big again. What do I have to do to get back to being big? Double it, which is 0.4. By the way, they say these are not drawn to scale, so you have to just assume that the bottom one is the longer side. You can cross off problem 21 as well. You might be able to figure that one out and cross that. 21, one that has the radical signs. So your assignment is to fill in this. If you have questions, come talk to me, but you have to figure out how to use those. 2?